I found a fully customizable quick links in SharePoint. You can change this thing however you want. And the best part is it's using my favorite set of free web parts in SharePoint. Let's get into it. Quick links are incredibly popular, but this one is really unique. It was created by a community member and it's 100% free. I'll show you where to get this and the issues you're going to have with it. But first, let's start setting this thing up. So I'm over on my intranet site, and this is where I want to put my quick links. So the first thing I need to do is we have to start setting up the list and kind of the structure to house this data so that later on we'll be able to configure this web part to pull in the data. So I'm going to go over here to Site Contents. And actually, the first thing I need to do is I'm going to create a content type. I mean, you should know by now content types are a must-have for SharePoint for enterprise level stuff. This is really no different. Now, you can use it without a content type, but there's some catches to that. I'll get into that later on in the video, but let's first just set this content type up. I will create a new one. I'm going to call this, how about quick links? Or quick link would be the content type. Quick link. I'll just leave this in the custom content types thing, and we'll make this inherit from list, and we'll pick item. So this is going to be based off of the item content type, and this will be called quick link because each link that we create in our list will be a quick link. So that's why it will be quick link and not quick links. So we'll create this. Now we need to add in our columns. Now there's some specific columns that have to be added because that data is going to all get pulled into the template that we're going to be putting on the screen to make our quick links look like quick links. So I'll start getting all this stuff built out and won't bore you to death with the long process. Now, the category field is going to be using managed metadata. So I've already gone in and just created that ahead of time. And it's only really got a few options in here, a few terms, applications, HR, links, and IT. So we'll be using this. And actually, I'm going to make these fields all required. Okay, so the content type is all built out. These are incredibly long names, and you don't have to use these. You can call these whatever you want, but there will be some things you'll have to make sure are the same as what this solution requires, because the template's going to be referencing some of these names in some form. I'll show you that in just a little bit. But first, we have our content type. We need a list for this thing to live on. So let's go over to Site Contents, create a new list. It'll be a blank list. We'll call this quick links. And so we've got our list. We need to add our content type. For that, we're going into list settings. We're going to go to advanced settings because you notice we don't even list our content types here. That's because we have to go to advanced settings, allow management of content types right here at the top. Then click on OK. And now we see our content types, and we're going to add in our custom one. All right, that's added. We want to get rid of item because we're not going to be using that. We want everything on this list to be a quick link. So we will make quick link the first option, and that will switch the default over to quick link. Now we can click on item, and we can delete this list content type, and it'll be gone. Now we've just got quick links in here available. We see all of the columns showing up. Everything's looking great. Now we need to go into our list and start building out some quick links. So I'll get started on that. Now, while I'm doing this, if you want to keep up with all these great SharePoint features that have been coming out lately and will be coming out for a while now, then check the description for my SharePoint Insights newsletter. It'll keep you up to date on all this stuff and how it's going to affect you. Now, I've got the first one configured. Let's just run through kind of what these fields really are. So we've got just the title of the field. That's going to be at the top of the quick link display. The user is This is more of an optional thing. There's one layout that will use this, and you'll see, because there's a few layouts that we're going to be showing that all come with this solution. The category, I don't think that's really being used. This text is actually going to be a second line of text that is used on one of the layouts, one or two of these layouts. The hyperlink, obviously, if someone's going to click on a quick link, they generally, want to go somewhere. So that's the URL they're going to go to when they click on your quick link. Any alt text for that link. And then the icon name. Now, the icon name comes from the Fluent UI framework. There's a great website Chris Kent created called flicon.io, and it allows you to find all these different icons, because this isn't using Font Awesome, which is a library you may have heard of. This is part of the Microsoft framework for the Fluent UI framework. So you could find whatever icon you want in here. It's a really great site. You can break it down by category and find things related to more like messaging, that type of stuff. It's really great, and I use this all the time. So that's really the breakdown of what is going to go into this. Let me add a few more in here. All right, so I've got some 3 items in here. That'll give us enough to test with. The next thing we're going to need to do is make sure we have PNP Modern Search. That's going to be the core of how this is going to work. These are the free web parts. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's my favorite set of free web parts. There's a link down in the description below to get the link to PNP Modern Search, where you can download this, upload it into your environment, and start using it. You'll either need to upload it to the app catalog for the tenant through the SharePoint Admin Center, or you'll need to create a site collection app catalog if you just want it available in this one site. You have 2 different options there, and there is some information to find out how to do that site collection app catalog. But I've already uploaded this to my tenant app catalog, and I've done a tenant deployment. So it's available everywhere I need it. So now that we have the data, what we're going to do is click on Home, and then we're going to edit the page. I'm going to look for the PNP search results web part. That's what we're going to be using for this. And then I'm going to configure this. We'll be using SharePoint Search. The next thing we need to do is configure the layout slots. Now, if you're not familiar with PNP Modern Search, I've actually got an online course to teach you this entire thing that goes really, really in depth. If you want a fast overview, I actually have a playlist on YouTube. So whichever route you want to go, if you want that slower, deeper approach to learning this stuff, check out the description below for the link to my course. But what we need to do is configure these layout slots so that we can start bringing in the data from that list. We're going to be doing it through Microsoft Search as opposed to going straight to the list to get that. So to be able to find the data or the managed properties in SharePoint Search in the layout slots, we're going to need to go to the selected properties. And we're going to find these properties right here. They're incredibly long names. That's fine. No one's going to see this but you. So we're going to add these in, and then we should be able to come to layout slots, and they are not here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click Save and Close. We'll refresh the page. And we'll see if they're here now. If not, okay, they're not here. That's fine, because we have a different way we can do this. What we're going to actually do is we're going to hop over to the SharePoint Admin Center. We're going to go into the search schema because we need to get the managed property names that are associated with these content type fields. So we can search for quick links since that was the first part of that name. And we'll see all 4 of these properties here under managed properties. So all we really need to do is copy out these names. So we're gonna copy the names in here manually because I don't think that they're gonna show up. Sometimes they don't, and that's just kind of the quirkiness of this sometimes. But what we can do is we're just gonna go over here to the search interface, and we're gonna copy this in. Let's start with this one. And this name, this is the name that it does have to be perfect. It has to match perfectly because the template's going to be using this. So I'm actually using another screen over here to make sure I've got the right name. In the sample page, it'll have all the information and the images, so you know exactly how to make yours look like the solution to make sure everything's working correctly. All right, that one's good. Now let's get the next one. Need an S there. Quick link, box text. All right, so that will cover all those things that we need. Let's click save, and we'll hit save and close just to make sure we have at least that stuff saved. Now we're going to go back in here, and we're going to be pasting in our sample template. So we'll edit this. Oh, and actually, let's get a query template filled out here. So we're going to be pulling in all of the items that match the content type of our list. This is one of the big reasons why you want to use content types, is because it will make a lot of search query stuff much easier. So we'll go to Site Contents. We'll go to Edit Our List. And we'll click on the content type here. And then up in the URL, you'll see ctype equals, and then you'll see a whole bunch of junk. We want to copy all this junk so that we can paste it into our search query. So in the query template, we're going to replace this. We don't need to use a search box or anything like this because we're just going to display a fixed amount of things. We're going to type in content type ID colon, and then we'll paste in that value. That's going to bring in all of the items from our list. Now we're going to be changing the way this looks with a custom template, so it actually looks like a custom template. So what we're going to do is come over here to the second page, click on custom, and now we're going to be pasting in this template. And again, you'll have a link to this down in the description so you see where this comes from, but I'm also going to take you there in this video and kind of show you what you're looking at. But we're going to be editing this template, deleting everything in here, and pasting in this custom one. Let's click save, and let's see what we've got. So we've got something here. And we've got some results that we don't want. We have the display forms. They're being returned as part of that content type, so we need to change that. So we've got links showing up. The extra ones we'll take care of, but we do have. Let's check out like HR benefits. If we click on this, now we're taken to the HR site. And if we click on intranet, now notice it doesn't work here. Look at the URL as well. It went to /intranet instead of just nothing. Because there is a problem in this template. It may be fixed by the time you set this up, because I'm going to submit some corrections to these templates, and because I believe there's something that needs to be fixed. Let's just actually go ahead and fix that now, in case you're doing this right when this video goes live and the updates haven't been applied yet. What we're going to have to do is we'll go to page 2, we'll go to the results template. And what's actually happening is it's using the alt text for the link instead of the link itself. So if we look for here, so on mine, it's line 130. You'll see here that you'll see the hyperlink. So there's the link we're actually clicking on, and it's using the link manage property, and it's splitting it based on the comma, because the way the data comes back, it's link and then a comma and then the alt text for that. And it's actually grabbing the alt text. We need to change this 1 to a 0. Click save, and then that should take care of that. Let's try the intranet link again. So now if we try the intranet link, it'll take us to the intranet. So yeah, that did fix it. So no big deal there. I'll get an update submitted just to help out the next person in line, you probably, so that you don't necessarily have to fix this one. There is another template that has that same bug in it. So I'll make sure to correct anything that I see I think is incorrect. The way these will work is someone's going to actually check that submission of mine. If they agree that it was a bug and that it is now fixed with my thing, then they'll accept that into the repository. So really fun way to help out other people and contribute knowledge. Now we need to get rid of the display form. So we need to update our search query for this. And actually a really fun way to do this, I'm going to close this and let's jump into developer tools. This is a really good way to find this. We need another field that we can filter on to make sure we get the results that we want and not these built-in display form pages. So what I've done is just refresh the page on the network tab in developer tools. I have a filter here set to the word query so that it filters based off of really SharePoint search queries. This right here should be the quick links web part. So if we drill down into, actually, if we look at the payload, we'll be able to see, yeah, here's the query template. This is the one we're looking for. So this is actually the API call to SharePoint search to pull back the data for our quick links web part. So if we go to preview, go down to relevant results, underneath primary query result, relevant results, table, rows. It's kind of buried in there, isn't it? And we'll expand one of these out and we need to look for, so here is one of the items. You can tell by the URL when you start to see this kind of stuff at the end of the URL, you're generally on a list item. What we could do is actually use this manage property right here that stores the hyperlink. If we have a hyperlink in that field, we know it's it's our custom quick link. That should get rid of the display form.aspx stuff. So I'm going to copy this in here. Now, what we're going to do is filter out the null value. So filter out the items where that there isn't a value in this field. The way we can do that is we'll just add a space. We'll add in paste in that manage property and then do a colon. And then for the value, we're just going to put in an asterisk. And that is all it will take to filter this out. What we've actually done is told it, as long as there's a value, some value, we don't care what that value is, as long as there's a value, return that result. So the display forms don't have a value, it's null essentially. So they're not returned. The stuff we do want is returned. So let's save and close this. And let's look at our quick links. I think it looks pretty good. You could probably play around with the CSS and maybe bring these lines down a little bit. But this is what the quick links will do. So if we click on this, it will go to the HR site. They work exactly the way a quick link would. Now, this is just one of those templates. Let's try out the next template. So now we're going to be copying in the template for the extended version of this. So it's going to have more information. So we'll go down to page 2, edit the results template. We'll paste this in. Now we do have to fix that same HTML error. And here it is on line 168, where we have to change this 1 into a 0. So we'll save that. And now you see that there's more information available on each of these quick links. That extra text has been brought in. And so you have more information, another style. So if you don't have as many links to display and you want to kind of give some more context to the user, this extended one is a really great one. And now then there's one last one that we can show, and that's going to bring in that user field. So again, all we have to do is edit and replace the template. We could swap back and forth between all these things. So it's really nice. Nothing else has to change. It's all using the same data fields. So we'll delete this. We'll paste in the user template. And now we can hit save and close on this. And so we've got more information, including the user that created this or the user we want to associate with this quick link. It doesn't have to be you or the person that created it because it is just a custom field. You can put whoever you want on this thing. But now if we click on intranet, notice what just happened. It downloaded the list item. It didn't take us to the intranet. It didn't take us to any URL because there's another error on this one. And if this is what it's doing when you try this out, here's how you can fix that. We'll go to page 2. We'll pull up the template. What you're going to look for here, it's another issue with the hyperlink. So we're going to look for that hyperlink. And here it is right here, line 162. So what this one is using is it's using the path managed property. That's the hyperlink directly to the list item itself, which is why, because of that weird file name that these things have, it just downloads the thing. We don't want to use the list item URL of our quick link. We want to use our custom hyperlink property, right? So what we're going to do for that, I'm going to copy that URL out of one of the other templates, and we're just going to paste it in here. This is another one of those things. I will submit a correction, and if I'm correct that these are bugs, then this will get updated by the time you start working on this, hopefully. So we're going to replace. Oh, this thing's scrolling on me. We're going to replace this whole href equals. We're going to replace the value of the href with one of these strings. Again, we'll have to put the 0 in there. But now this should split the hyperlink on that comma and just grab the hyperlink part, not the comma and not the alt text. Now let's save this, hit save and close. And let's try this out now. All right, now we're going to the HR site. That is much, much better. I like this. So now that's working. Now you have a lot of options with this. But you have this whole custom template. You could change the colors around all you want. You can start to, what you could actually do is start using some of the CSS classes for the SharePoint, the current site theme. So this kind of looks native to this site. It'll automatically inherit all the colors and things like that. Because you have access to these templates, you can change anything. You could change, here's all the CSS so that you can change around those CSS styles and move things around on the page, change where all the text is positioned. You have a lot of options like this. Here's all the HTML. So generally the way most of these templates will work is you've got all these CSS at the top. Then you'll have the HTML. It doesn't have to be in that order, but it generally is with these templates. And you'll even see paging controls down here. So if you have multiple pages, and you can, by the way, limit the amount of information returned on a particular page. You'll have those options here, like how many items total do you want to retrieve? If you have 100 of these things, you don't want to display 100 at a time. Maybe you want 10 at a time, maybe 5 at a time. Then you can limit how many of these pages should be returned so you're not getting too much information at once. So you've got a lot of options right here. Again, I've got a playlist for PNP Modern Search to quickly get you up to speed on that. But then obviously my online course for a much, much deeper dive into this. So let's jump over and actually see where this sample comes from. So here is the link to the GitHub repository where all the PNP Modern Search templates are going to be stored. Now, this is a fairly new repo. I think it may be a few months old or so. So there's not a lot in here, but there's definitely some really, really good things. A friend of mine, Casper Larson, who does a lot of the support, actually, you see him up here in the most recent commit for this one, he said recently on a Microsoft community call that some of these are actually going to get incorporated into the main product itself, so you won't even need to configure these custom templates the way we're doing now. It'll be actually much easier, which is fantastic and such a cool thing to do that you can create your own sample, submit it so that everyone gets to benefit from your knowledge, and then it could even get included in the core product. How cool is that? So what we have here is kind of the description of what these samples are. The screenshots of kind of how you'll want the search schema set up. I mean, I did mention that if you don't have to use a content type, you don't have to use a site column. You could just add these straight onto a list and skip all that. Now, if you do that, you will have to create these managed properties yourselves in the search schema. And so you'll have to configure that, map it over to the crawled properties. So there's no issues. It'll still work just fine. It'll just be additional work you'll have to do. I'd recommend that you create this in the tenant content type gallery so that you can push this out to all of your sites and everyone would have this particular content type available if they wanted to start doing some of these quick links. Now, granted, you'll probably have to include some instructions somewhere so that the site owners know kind of step by step how to configure this thing. Of course, you could also send them to this video. That's all, just saying. You'll see down here all your step-by-step stuff. That's basically what we've gone through in this video. Configuring those layout slots, adding in the custom template, a sample of what all these different layouts will look like. And then kind of in the root of this particular sample, you'll see all these files that we've used. So this MD file, that was actually the README we were just looking at. But you'll have the extended template here, the simple template. The most recent one we did was the one with users in it, and it's just right here. All you have to do is click this copy button over here on the top right to use that. And this sample, I'll make sure I give credit to the author for this one. And actually, Casper's the one who created this as well, which is really cool. It's always great as you network with people and meet people in the community, and then you see stuff that they've submitted and to add and share with everyone, share with the world. It's just such a cool thing to see. So Casper created this one. Awesome job, Casper. I really appreciate you. And all the other information you need is really all right here. And another thing to mention are the column names. Now you could use whatever names you want as long as those slot names are the same. The slot names, those layout slot names, those are the ones that have to match what's in that template. So if you wanted to rename the slot to something else, you would just have to find all the references to that in the template and update it there. And if you like this kind of solution, but you're new to PnP Modern Search, I've got a playlist to get you started with all these web parts. Just click or tap the screen to get started, and I'll see you over there.